Okay, so as you guys can see, I've done one side of my face already for the pinup tutorial, just to speed things along and to show you how we're actually going to achieve creating this look. I've left my lips to just do in one go because it's just going to be easier to try to draw in the Cupid's bow with a naked canvas. So the first thing that I've done is I've applied my base. So I've used a strobe cream primer to give myself a little bit of a glow, and then I've used a liquid foundation and a cream concealer. And I've blended those through and set it with a powder. I've then applied some contouring powder just very, very subtly underneath the jawline, under the cheekbones, the temple, and to narrow out the bridge of the nose. And then I've highlighted with a shimmer pigment the places that the light would naturally hit the face. So down the nose, forehead and chin, unless you're specifically oily skin type, then I would leave those areas out. And along my cheekbones and brushing over my Cupid's bow. I haven't bothered highlighting around the eye area because we're actually going to go over that with a flat white as well. Now I did apply the blush to the apples of the cheeks, but this has been applied from about 10 o'clock, so I'm going to reapply the blush to show you guys. So the first thing we're going to do is just use a peach coloured blush. If you can kind of see it, it's wearing a bit thin there. And we're just going to take a regular blush brush and apply quite liberally, tapping off the excess. And to find the actual apples of the cheeks, we need to have a big cheesy smile. Here they are. And we apply in little dabs and push up the cheekbone. So it's a somewhat circular motion without actually creating concentric circles. So most of the pigment concentrated on the apples and then just blending it back up the cheeks, just to create a nice rosy glow. If you're doing this for stage, you probably want to make all these kind of things a little bit more extreme. The next thing we're going to do is frame the eyebrow. So you can see that I've actually shaped in my naked brow to create this kind of a blocked shape. This is a 40s arch. Okay. So I'm just going to take a MAC pencil in Fling, and this is like a dirty blonde kind of a colour. And what we're looking at doing is actually marking up from the nostril. So we're coming up to sort of marry up to the head of the eyebrow. And then in order to create our peak, we're coming across our pupil to find the highest peak and to the edge of the eye to find where our eyebrow should stop. So what we want to do is make sure we're applying this in actual brush strokes. Although it looks like a blocked kind of a shape, we don't actually want to apply this like it's a crayon. Okay? Okay, so you can see I've now masked in this eyebrow just to create a nice frame for our eyeshadows and just to help them become a little bit more prominent. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take an angled brush, an angled eyeliner brush, and I'm going to use a similar colour to set my eyebrow. So this is just a powder. If you are using an eyeshadow, make sure it doesn't have too much of a red pigment and definitely no shimmer through it. You want a nice flat brown colour. And simply brush the pigment over the new shape of the brow, trying to keep your line as clean as you can. Okay, there you go. When you are in fact blocking in your brows, you want to actually groom them before you do this so that it's a nice flat canvas for you to draw onto. Okay, so I'm now just going to take my eyeshadow palette and I'm going to use one of these colours through here. So you can use a muted sort of pinky brown or a flat sort of tan. And I'm just going to take a relatively wide eyeshadow brush and coat that in there. And what we're going to do is we're just going to create some shadowing for the socket. So you can see that I've actually applied it through this socket line here. So I'm going to take my brush and pop it in bristles first and just rub back and forth to create a shadow line. This is going to help set the eyes a little bit deeper, making them look bigger. So I'm just lightly brushing this pigment up onto my brow bone. We don't want to go too high, but this is just to create some depth, rubbing back and forth. And then I'm just going to brush it down into the corner of the eye, creating a little triangle of colour on the end. Okay? And I'm just going to coat the brush, make sure you tap off the excess. And I'm just going to turn the brush up. I'm going to rub underneath my eye. Probably about to a quarter of the way in, just to give it a little bit of definition underneath the eye. There you go. Okay, so the next thing, and one of the most important things we're going to do, is take our fluffy brush, and every time we apply some shadow, we blend it out. So just rubbing back and forth over that joint, even if it's a really subtle colour like what we've just used, just to help soften the line, like so. I'm going to take a much smaller brush, same kind of tight bristled brush, and I'm going to use the dark colour, and I'm going to be much more careful with this than I was with the mushroom. I'm going to turn the brush so it's flat and just run it along that brow bone, so not quite into the socket, and then I'm going to turn my brush on an angle to be a bit more precise when I'm coming down lower. This is just to create a bit of a darker shadow. Don't be too concerned if it's really dark, you are going to blend it back. And just like you did with the mushroom, we're going to do the same under the eye, but we're probably going to do about a quarter to a third of the way along. Like so. Back to our trusty fluffy brush, and we're just going to blend that back. Okay, to finish off the shadow base, we're just going to use a white flat pigment. So I'm using a loose dust, but you can use a compact. Make sure you're only using a white brush. So this is black bristle brush, but I only ever use white pigment on it. Okay, and this is to make sure you're not going to get any grey smudging. I'm going to use the white pigment to complement the shadows we've created. So this is the area that we're going to use as a highlight, where you can see I've opened up my brow and filled in any gaps that need colour. Make sure you have in fact created a base before you apply, so make sure your your foundation goes over your eyelid as well. I actually use a concealer, but you can use a foundation if your eyes are a bit more sensitive. Okay, so we're just going to come underneath the brow and apply some pigment. I like to give a lot of pigment along my brow bone. I like quite a heavy highlight. But you might like something a bit softer because it can be a bit drag queeny. But hey, that's up to you. And just then pressing it into the gaps. just running your brush back and forth just to help blend these pigments. They're nice and seamless. Then just going to take a little bit of product really well compacted onto my brush and just put it into the inside corner of my eye here. And I'm just going to press this down so it really helps open up my eye. You can use a shimmer if you want here. It can look quite pretty, or even a glitter. Okay. If you need to soften that off a little bit, just go back to your blending brush and blend. Make sure you're getting rid of any fallout from your shadows. So from here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a really nice white crayon and I'm going to line the inside of my eye. So the rule here is using a white pencil if you want to really widen out your eyes, making them look nice and bright. If you want to narrow them out, really smoky cat's eyes, then use a black or a gold or a navy, something with a bit of a rich tone. Pull down and really pack in the colour. This is the kind of area, because it is on the waterline, that you're going to want to carry your pencil with you to make sure you don't actually smudge it out too much. And then taking a nice black kohl pencil and just running along that lash line. Again, about maybe 2/3 of the way. Don't join it right up. Okay, so what we want to do is actually blend this back. So go back to our fluffy brush and just help soften that line a little bit to make them nice and smoky. Okay. Now I'm going to take my mascara brush and I'm just going to use it vertically and I'm going to tickle my lower lashes. As I have extensions, I don't need to worry about the top of my lashes, but if you don't, you'll apply your mascara and apply a false eyelash to that as well to help complete the look. Your false eyelashes would be applied after your liquid eyeliner. Once they've set, you would then put a line over the top. Just to finish this off, we want to actually create our lovely cat's eye here, so the 50s flick. So I'm actually going to use a gel pot, but you can use a precision pen or a liquid eyeliner. It's completely up to you guys what you use. If you are going to use a gel pot, you need to use a nice fine brush to get the nice straight sharp line. It's completely up to you how thick, how thin you go, how long a swoop, how sharp. That is a design style. So what you want to do is really heavily coat your brush and make sure you've sharpened it off so it's a nice fine point. And what we're actually going to do is we're going to, with our eye closed, apply from about a quarter of the way in to the end of the lashes. And as we come to the end of the lashes, we start to lift that line. Once you get there, you'll open your eye out and you'll assess where you need to fill in the swoop. Some people can draw straight on. Some people actually have quite a deep fold. So you need to decide if you need to actually lower the swoop before you start rising it up in order to prevent getting a break line. Okay. Okay, so you can see that I'm starting to fill in this line. Make sure you get as close to your natural lashes as you can. You don't want any gaps. If you want to actually go down over your lashes, you can do that too. And then from here, to ensure we can get a nice sharp line, what we want to do is actually apply this with our eye open. running from the inside corner up to meet that line. Excellent. Make sure you keep applying your product to your brush and cleaning it off. It's better to have too much product than too little. And then from there we just assess the length of the swoop that we would like. And we just gently drag out. Just lower my lashes for you so you can see. Now, with this kind of swoop, it's really important that you go from the inside of the eye out so you get a nice tapered tip, not outside to in, or else you get a really blunt line. So what I'm going to do at this point is I'm just going to come forward and show you the line and how it needs to be cleaned up. But in order to do this, I need to get nice and close to my mirror. So I'll show you what I'm talking about, and I'll fix it up and come back and show you again. So again, if we pull the lashes down, you can see the difference in the two lines. The one that was actually originally made, so it's a nice clean swoop, and the one that has been done in 3 parts. So what we need to do now is get nice and close to our mirror and just basically connect the dots and make sure it's a nice fluent line. Okay, so we're back, and you can see that I've just neatened that line up just by filling in any gaps, making a nice smooth line. Okay, just to finish our pin-up look, and take our trusty red, and the first thing we're going to do to create a nice full pin-up shape is just basically trace our natural shape first. And when you're wearing red or a really bright colour, try to get a matching pencil and actually fill the whole lip in, and especially if you're eating or drinking, and this is going to prevent you actually getting ghetto lip where you've got a dark lip line and no pigment on the inside. Okay. Okay, so we've filled in our lip line. Now I've actually got quite a natural sharp cupid's bow and quite a full lip. If you don't have this, you can actually draw very, very carefully around the outside of your lip line, and this just to flesh out the lips a little bit, but make sure you always narrow it back into your natural lip corner, otherwise you're going to end up with that kind of bleeding clown mouth, which we don't want. So lastly, what we're going to do is we're just going to accentuate this bow. So what we do is we come up nice and close, keep your lips quite taut, and you can see I've just very gently risen up and rounded off the top of that bow and brought it back down to the natural shape just to get a bit more of a pout. So what we want to do is even the two up now. Like so. Really important to start off small and work your way up, because it can be quite difficult to get it even. So if you keep going from quite a high arch and then having to build up and up to make it even, you end up with lips underneath your nose, and then you have to start again. Okay, so just to finish off, I'm actually going to put a burnt orange over my lips, and the reason I'm doing that is because of the colour. that I'm wearing today. But you know, if you're wearing red, obviously try to get it pretty close to the colour that you're wearing. And you should be applying this with a lip brush so that you can get the precision over the lip line. However, my lipstick has got the peak in it, and because I'm experienced in this, I'm going to apply it straight on out of sheer laziness for me to go and run and get my lip brush. Okay, so if you wanted to flesh this out more so, you can apply a gold or a peach highlight to the very centre of your lower lip. Make sure you blend it back with a blending brush, and that's just going to make that lower lip look even fuller as well. It's totally up to you whether you go matte or whether you go for something a bit creamier like what I've got on. I detest matte lipsticks, but it is very vintage. So if you are preferring that complete pinup look, then matte is the way to go. Same with the strobe cream I'm wearing, get rid of that and only use flat highlights. But as you can see, you know, you can use these kind of products on your skin and still actually look classically vintage as well. So we have the products available to us. Use them if you want to. Okay, so lastly, if you wanted to complete this look with a beauty spot, you can use a pencil or a gel liner and somewhere under the eye or around the mouth, but because I've got a Monroe piercing, I'm actually just going to leave it as it is as well. Plus, I'm actually not going out to stage, I'm coming to teach you guys, so don't really want to get too dressed up, do I? But this is the basic pin-up look, Makeup 101.